Okay, good evening, everyone. Thanks for your patience as we get online. Welcome to this specific session today, this evening, over the next 90 minutes, titled Bringing Sustainability and Innovation in Packaging. A very quick introduction before we really, without any significant delay, leave the stage to the seasoned experts who would be addressing us. Packaging and home care and personal care have a very significant and deep interplay because home care and personal care products, as we all know, are essentially chemical formulations, but with a very customer-facing FMCG outlook. And there is a strong element of both functionality as well as customer influence in the packaging that determines the customer affinity towards these products. So in today's session, we are effectively bringing the two streams of discipline onto a single platform, having experts from both fields address us in depth on this particular subject, so that hopefully at the end of 90 minutes that would follow from now, we walk away significantly enriched with our knowledge of the technologies associated with packaging and of course the mega trends that would be driving forward packaging considerations for home care and personal care products. A very brief insight into the organizers. On the one hand, we have our group at Packaging 360, which is now about a 2-year-old knowledge advisory, which is essentially in the business of imparting knowledge to the packaging community across various end user industries. The delivery mechanisms that we choose for these are in the form of conferences. In normal times, it would be in the real form. Of course, in these strange times that we find ourselves in, this happens in the virtual form as all of us are here congregated. We also have a very vibrant website, which I would strongly recommend all of you please visit. It's www.packaging360.in. A lot of case studies, a lot of white papers. We also conduct bespoke market research, also customized trainings for the industry. And through these various mechanisms, including offline publications as well, on a regular basis, we try to engage deeply and meaningfully with the industry. As I said, that brings essentially to the table the packaging domain expertise. Since the flavor of today's session is packaging with a specificity on home and personal care, we have also joined hands with HPCI India, which is the leading exhibition in India for the home and personal care industry. But also there is more to that particular vertical. Similar set of activities like market research, publications, etc., which makes us a full-fledged vertical in the service of the home care and the personal care industry. So two significant and committed forces have come together with their respective and specific domain expertise on this particular subject, and that has basically spawned this particular session here. Based on the quality of speakers, we are extremely pleased and honored to have the quality of speakers that we have today, and I will certainly introduce each of them before they get on with their talks. It makes it a very, very promising and potentially enriching session, and I really hope that we can deliver value to all of you as we have envisaged it when we set up this particular session. So on that particular note, I once again welcome all of you here. I seek your attention because besides the compelling narrative that each of the speakers would all share, we also have a few polls that we would be running in between, simply so that there could be, we can harness even more information that goes beyond what the speakers would be addressing. And it would give us a very significant insight into some of the trends that are prevalent in the packaging industry as applicable to home and personal care. So thank you again for your patience and indulgence in allowing me to start off this session. And without any further ado, I'd like to now invite our first speaker, Dr. Rangaprasad. He is the business head of Packaging 360, so he has also been largely instrumental in setting up this session. But of course, he also brings with him over 30 years of experience in the polymer industry and also in the packaging industry. Many of you already know him from his stints at Reliance, SIES School of Packaging, and also the Indian Institute of Packaging. So I would invite Dr. Rangaprasad for his narrative to lay the context, followed by our three guest speakers. Thank you once again, and over to you, Dr. Rangaprasad.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Dilip, for the nice introduction. Are we good to go?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, the topic for today's afternoon session is sustainability and innovations in home and personal care and cosmetics packaging. It's a pretty wide domain, but what I've tried to do is compile a sort of a run-up of all the happenings that have been taking place in the last, let's say, 8 to 10 months in this field. So hopefully by the time I end this presentation, you will get a bird's eye view and hopefully set the context for the brand owners segment, where we have expert speakers from their respective disciplines who will enrich you with more specific examples of the efforts that they are doing in the area of sustainability and innovation. So what I will do is I will restrict myself to just give a simple definition to sustainability, cover the market examples, and look at some new commitments in terms of investments by Indian companies. And more importantly, look at some of the critical to success factors in this game of innovation and sustainability. And I'll summarize some of the important sustainability evaluation tools that are now available to quantify this concept of sustainability. Now, here are the pillars for sustainability and innovation, which really forms the foundation. And as you're aware, this current pandemic has spurred growth in sanitizer and many home and personal care products. But this is a short-term development. But going forward, as corporate organizations are more committed towards achieving their large long-term sustainability goals, sustainability goals will drive packaging innovation henceforth. And in this regard, sustainability communication and how you communicate sustainability and sustainability goals achieved to your stakeholders also becomes an integral part of the sustainability goal. We are looking at minimizing environmental impact, which means now jargons go into the background. It's no longer environmentally friendly or saving the planet Earth. Those kind of jargons will now be history. You now have quantitative measures or quantitative tools which will help you to gauge the extent of or the impact of your packaging materials and the overall processes that you apply on the environment. But coupled with this, at the back of the game will be product safety and hygiene, which can't be compromised, consumer ergonomics, and whatever packaging that is designed will now be designed for sustainability. Corporate organizations in the FMCG and cosmetic space are looking at simplifying packaging structures so that you can incorporate more, they can become more recyclable and also can incorporate more recycled content in their packaging formats. The net result is that you have to enable packaging to fit the circular economy model. Now, different industries based in paper, metal, glass, and plastics have their own interpretation of sustainability. We'll not go too deep into this, but we will just start by understanding sustainability in a very simple way, which means meeting the needs of current generation without negatively impacting the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. And this definition goes back to 1988, and the life cycle analysis has been a very good measure to understand sustainability. Now, let's quickly run through some of the important developments that have taken place in the market. Here are some sustainable packs or innovations based on paper. Here is a cardboard tube, which is based on paper. It is a cosmetic tube, and it is designed to substitute the existing laminate tubes. And Procter & Gamble a couple of months ago announced paper tube packaging for selected deodorants. Trials are now underway in the US and Walmart and other outlets to ascertain the efficiency or the credibility of these kind of out-of-box packaging structures. Now, as far as recyclable and recycled content is concerned, Persil attempts to close the recycling loop by making sustainable cardboard plastic packaging composites, which was produced for Henkel by Greiner. And in this pack, this packaging now contains about 50% post-consumer recycled polypropylene. Last year, we heard about this ocean plastics bottle from Procter & Gamble, which means effectively collecting the bottles which end up in the oceans and then putting it back in for reuse, or in some way preventing it from reaching the ocean or the landfill. Here's another development from Unilever, which pioneered black plastic bottles, which are easily recyclable. Now, a question that is often asked when you talk about recycled content for home and personal care and cosmetic products is, what makes personal care product packaging different from food contact? Are there any risks to using recycled plastics in personal care? Because unlike in food contact packaging, skin and eyes are the ones that are more prone to risks when you are incorporating recycled content. And therefore, what are the tools, or what are the regulations, or what are the standards that are required to employ recycled materials effectively or safely? So a lot of studies are being undertaken to verify or to validate the use of or the safety of recycled content in these kind of packaging structures. Let's capture some of the developments from L'Oreal, another prominent brand owner. They plan to have about 100% products packaging from recycled or bio-based sources by in another 10 years from now. They've made a shift to carton-based tubes for cosmetics by collaborating with Albia. At the same time, a very out-of-box innovation was announced by L'Oreal, which they unveiled Perso, which is an artificially intelligence-powered at-home system that represents ultimate in beauty personalization. So this is a packaging format which enables you to customize your beauty and home care or other kinds of products at your home using a mobile application. As far as laminates are concerned, companies like Colgate are already in this business and are innovating to introduce recyclable tubes for toothpaste packaging. The SL's range of Platina 250 and 300 tubes have been approved as a recyclable material by Recycle Class, the internationally accepted certification and validation organization for use of recycled materials. Another important step as far as innovation, or let's say sustainability goes, is to make what are called these wash-off labels, which during the especially on PET to enable efficient recycling of PET bottles. These labels, when they are subjected to the washing cycle during the recycling or the recovery process, should be able to be removed very easily during the washing process. And one such example is the 62 RPW from Herma, which is a special multi-layer adhesive which makes this wash-off process extremely easy. On the other hand, last year we heard about DSM, which introduced the skin resins family to drive innovation or silk-like feel in packaging. Innovation really for the cosmetics and personal care products. Gerresheimer is another important player in this space, and they are positioning glass as a infinitely recyclable material. They came out with an idea of high quality cosmetic ingredients with a freshness kick and rapid effect packaged in ampoules, which can be customized in salons and other kinds of places. And this really is an out-of-box kind of concept introduced by Gerresheimer. Now, as far as soap wrappers are concerned, the conventional structure has been PET, paper, and hot melt coating. Now, Max Specialty, which is a leading converter in India, has now proposed all recyclable and supposedly environmentally friendly solution based on polypropylene, a combination of heat seal plain BOPP and heat seal pearl BOPP. Now, some of the critical to success factors As we saw earlier also, just as a wash of labels, the de-inking of the printing inks that are used in contact with the labels or any other surface of the packaging material has to be de-inked, and this has been successfully developed by collaborative efforts of SIGWORK and APKJ. On the right hand side, what you see is a process aid, or really an additive, which helps to remove the acetaldehyde during the recovery of PET or the recycling process. As you are aware, during the recycling process, acetaldehyde is one of the odor molecules that is liberated, which can impart odor to the next inclusion of this recycled PET into the main material. So these kind of odor scavengers for acetaldehyde and ink removals in recycled material is also one of the factors which will contribute to the successful inclusion of more and more recycled materials in the packaging structures. Well, as far as investments are concerned, Piramal Glass announced 30 million euro investment in the perfume exclusively for perfume manufacturing unit. That's a glass manufacturing unit dedicated for perfumes. AGI Glasspack, also one of India's major glass manufacturing facility or converter, has upgraded its technology and has invested up to 130 crores. You can read more about the AGI Glasspack technology in an interview or in an insight shared by Rajesh Khosla a couple of months earlier. It's available on our website. So those of you who would like to know more about this technology can go to that page and learn more about this technology. Now, what are the efforts to reach sustainability and EPR framework? We've been hearing about this for a very long time. And in June 2020, the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change released the Uniform Framework for Extended Producers' Responsibility under the Plastic Waste Management, and had given a date for comments on this document that was 31st of July. So this will become an important framework for the implementation and also bringing in all the stakeholders on a similar platform. A similar kind of consensus has been achieved in the European Union, where as far as the concepts of circular economy and sustainability and EPR are concerned, there is almost unanimous opinion in the European Union. So hopefully we will also be able to arrive at this kind of a more practical and so let's say a framework which will enable our the FMCG and the other brand owners to implement their sustainability goals. This is just a quick snapshot of all the evaluation guidelines published by the European Union. These are the harmonized standards for use of for the packaging materials, which covers everything from recoverable materials, recycling, and also biodegradation, etc. This is a kind of a snapshot or just a summary of the sustainability evaluation tools. You have to be very, very methodical in claiming sustainable, your pack is sustainable. You have to undertake the life cycle analysis, do a carbon footprinting, design your packs for recyclability, then recycled content, to what extent you can incorporate recycled content in the pack. You have to undertake environmental testing. It also involves responsible sourcing, eco-labeling, supply chain resilience, and then transport efficiency, cleaner and energy efficient production. So these are some of the kind of a snapshot which most of the FMCG companies and brand owner companies are undertaking to evaluate and quantify and sustainability claims. So that's it from my side. Most of the slides that you just witnessed in this presentation are available on our website, www.packaging360.in. And as Dilip said, you will find almost a digital library comprising of news items posted on a daily basis, white papers, case studies, and insights shared by experts. So I welcome you to visit this website. And with this, I conclude my talk. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Back to you, Dilip.
Yeah. So thank you, Dr. Rangaprasad, for setting the context by describing the the breadth, width, and depth and length of the technology landscape that is available to us across materials and solutions for this particular industry. With that, we now move on to our next speaker. In fact, the next three speakers would be deep diving into very specific solutions that they have actually played a key role in, and often addressing brands that are household names in our industry. So it would be good to learn from them verbatim and firsthand about the thought process, right from the design to the material to the consumer interface, as to how some of these solutions have been developed. My pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Mr. Sridhar, Mr. Janardhan Sridhar from Marico. He's also had a long stint before this at HUL, and his stints at HUL earlier and now at Marico, where he heads packaging across domestic and international markets, has seen him handle various household brands like Fair & Lovely, Dove, Lifebuoy, Pond's, Hammam, just to name a few. And he's also got more than 100 domestic awards in the field of sustainability and packaging during his career. So, Mr. Sridhar, always a pleasure to have you, and we are thrilled that you could accept our invitation. And we leave the stage, or rather the screen, to you for your narrative. Over to you, Mr. Sridhar.
Sure. So are you able to see that? Are you able to see?
No, I think the presentation's just coming on.
Okay. Is it there?
No, not yet.
Now we can see your screen.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, thanks to the HPCI India team and Dr. Rangaprasad and Mr. Raghavan for the invitation, and privilege to be in this webinar with my esteemed web audience in the company of my dear friends Gagan and Jikul. So today what I will do is I will talk about innovation and sustainability and in packaging, and give examples both from Marico and the global launches, to make it interesting. The first part of the presentation will be on innovation, and the next part will have sustainability built in with some disruptive design and technology in most of them. Also, I have taken cross-category examples, in fact, which we can apply in HPC. Going to my next slide.
Sir, small request, if you could put it in the presentation mode so that we can see the whole screen.
Yeah. Are you able to see that?
It's still not in the presentation mode, sir. Yeah, this is.
Yeah. Okay. My first slide is on consumer value, and I think whether it be a personal care or for that matter any FMCG industry, the focus has to be on the consumers for brands to survive. Hence, consumer value becomes the key. My second slide is on consumer value equation, and it has got 4 dimensions. One, the cost. The second is the choice. The third is the convenience, and the fourth is the experience. These 4 dimensions are added up, to evaluate consumer value, which can be defined as a sum of tangible and intangible benefits a consumer receives from purchase. Now, taking these individually, first the cost. The cost dimensions can be briefly be defined on a polarized spectrum. At one end of the spectrum, there is a premium pricing, usually for high-end products. At the other end of it is the economic pricing for commodity goods. Over the millennials and Gen Z consumers see the value with cost. Second is the choice. The choices that consumers make during their shopping journey is dramatically changing in the aspects of product selection, personalization and related services specifically. Technology is the crucial element and related, and retailers to tailor these choices to individual consumers and reflect personal preferences and experience. In fact, millennials are said to be as much as 70 to 80% less loyal to brands. This means that to capture the millennial market, companies need to create unique brands that target the core beliefs and behaviors, of millennials. Third is the convenience. Consumers can now get most of the things in need within a few clicks on their mobile devices, or even just by voice command using smart home assistants. Instant gratification is now taken for granted by consumers instead of good to have. Finally, it's the experience. Consumer experience at all interaction point is one of the most crucial dimension. Everything ranging from touch and feel and see aspects. Brand needs to deliver a more distinguished and satisfying experience for a much larger, to win over their competition. My next few slides will touch upon a few key enablers to earn consumer loyalty. The first will be engaging with your senses, evolved convenience, product personalization, high perceived value, and sustainability, which will be at the core. The first one is engaging with senses. Ideally, packaging engages the senses and creates an emotional bond with the consumers. But what if the packaging itself displays physical signs of emotions? What if it blushes when touched? That's exactly what the packaging, was developed by the Russian designer Stas Neretin. The bottles and jars for naked skincare range, as they are called, turns red on touch and creates the impression of being delicate and slightly shy, and packaging as an active participant in a normally passive exchange. So he used thermochromic coating, similar to coating used in mood rings and baby bottles. The warmth of the touch, that activates the color change from nude to pinkish red and gives the packaging an animated feel. My second example is of Kao's Evita Beauty Whip Soap, which relies on aerosol packaging and unique dispensing head to create a beautiful rose shape with one easy pump. And brings in a wow element in the functionality of packaging. As Kao team says, when you think of the beauty ritual, there are some elements that just feels more routine. I think opportunities to improve the unknown need and surprise and delight the consumers daily. So she actually enjoys her beauty ritual instead simply performing it. Here's a video to explain how it works. I would request if you could play the video.
A soap dispenser that pushes out foam that is shaped like a perfect rose.
Thank you. Are you able to see my screen? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Is the screen visible?
Yes, it's visible.
I think it's not going to my next slide. So going to my next slide is on evolved convenience, and consumers want cosmetic and personal care and household products that are convenient and easy to use. This has resulted in an increased demand, for packaging where applicator is included as a part of the package and viewed as a key piece of the package design rather than just an accessory. Performance is driving innovation with a growing demand of applicators designed to control dispensing and complement the product formulation. A unique applicator can make consumers feel like they are buying something new, while also increase the perceived value of the product. Hence the Nihar Extra Care Pack. It's a hair fall pack. Hair fall is one of the most common problem faced today by both men and women. There's so many age-old recipes, and homemade remedies for hair fall that are passed on to us from our grandmothers and mothers. But because of our busy and our hectic schedules, it makes us quite impossible for us to take our time and energy, during the entire traditional approach of soaking seeds overnight and using it the next day. So this packaging is extremely innovative, where 5 super seeds are stored at the top of the bottle and soaked in the coconut oil at all the time. You just need to fill the bottle and soak the seeds every time you use the oil. Consumers have got highly intrigued by the innovative packaging of seeds soaking inside the cap of the product. The second one is the Ayurvedic oiling, which is made easy by innovative, Parachute Ayurvedic comb pack. The unique feature of the bottle is the sleek feature, which makes it very ergonomic to fit in the palm. The comb attachment on the top of the bottle makes the entire attachment look like a comb. The design is such the oil does not comes out of the orifice of the top, as in the case with the competition, but from the sides wall of the bristles of the comb, with application both on the roots and the tresses. Additionally, there's a dosage control, which makes the flow of oil only when you squeeze. Both the designs are patented, of course. We have put it for patent. The next one would be personalization on Parachute Ayurvedic hair oil. In first of its kind innovation, not just in Marico, but in industry at a commercial scale, every pack showcases the image of a real consumer with a real name and city on the front of the pack. These are women from across 22 cities and all 5 southern states. And a new set of 10 images was coming every 45 days. So much so that at any given time on shelf, one would see around 6 different faces. Then comes our personalized set wet innovation can. A couple of years back, we launched a first of its kind individual deodorant and can rooted in true personalization, whereby each can is customized to personal liking, right from being able to select the can color, the photo, and the name. So all the 3 were integrated together. We started with the hashtag Where's Your Face campaign with Ranveer Singh as brand ambassador. There was an extensive reach about 4 million, generating numerous conversation and high engagement level. The pack was unique as it was the first of its kind in India and second in Asia in FMCG category, where the name and the face both was digitally printed and shrink sleeved on the can on a large scale. My next 3 slides are on high perceived value. The first one is by Fast Track Beauty, a division of Albia Group that offers packaging solution with short development time. Launched a new digital printing technique that allows the tube and the cap in one go. This means the design runs flawlessly from top to bottom. This is quite an amazing innovation, that offers multitude of possibilities. Second is the eye-catching nano embossing from Heinrich Mudlich. Offer outstanding new design possibilities from high definition lenticular effect to superfine patterns with light reflections. The process can be integrated into the graphic design as an individual elements or combined onto other special effects. The result is mesmerizing and adds depth to a design. My next example would be Guerlain Royal Day Cream, who are one of the famous perfume and skincare luxury brand in France, which is now available in a very sleek, small jar called Neo Infinite Glass. The material contains 90% recycled glass, mind it, 90%. 25% is filmed household cullet, 65% in-house cullet, and 100% recyclable. Now, believe me, generally a glass bottle, as everybody knows, contains about 25 to 60% cullet or crushed glass pieces, and hence the quality of the glass and aesthetics is a compromise, due to high addition of cullet. Hence, technology is a marvel out here and highly sustainable option, of course. The next example is Lancome's Ideal perfume offers a glass bottle with just a depth of 15 mm. This is the design marvel in glass bottle. Designed to lie flat, the idea was to produce a bottle so thin that it becomes almost invisible. It's only lightweight, not only lightweight, but handy and refillable. Finally, my last slide on high perceived value with a high discipline innovation is a perfume bottle. Perfume Tech, Slovenian startup, has teamed up with glassmaker Rasnik to launch what it calls smart perfume bottles. The innovation involves both the way the fragrance is dispensed and the marketing opportunity it offers. So there is no actuator. The spray is activated by simply touching a tactile area on the cap surface. Based on a capacitive sensor technology, generally we also use in smartphone screens, which presupposes the presence of an electrostatic field where a finger touch will create a distortion that is processed by an electronic controller. This electronic controller pump was specifically developed capable of generating high pressure while consuming a little bit of energy only. The bottle also connects via Bluetooth to a smartphone app, allowing brands the option of personalizing the fragrance by mixing perfumes in different proportion. Now, coming to sustainability, and I call it more with less and not the other way around. Basically, the finger pointing at packaging as a main culprit of the country's ecological problem is a known fact. So there are 5 of the original 7 R's of sustainable packaging revealed by Walmart when it introduced its packaging scorecard way back at a packaging expo in 2006. They then shortlisted to reduce, reuse, and recycle, but also added a term rethink to encourage companies to always remember to consider smart, sustainable solutions. Sustainable packaging is no longer focused on just recycling. Just as packaging is not the only eco target, although it is still the top of the mind for many. Right or wrong, packaging is frequently scrutinized and used as a measure of companies' overall sustainability, even though it may contribute only a small percentage to the total economic impact, eco impact, compared to other things such as transportation, water, and energy use. So the idea of looking at the entire life cycle of a package from raw materials all the way through the disposal is the key to assess sustainability. Our focus mainly remains on end of life. But I will not shun away, on not focusing on sustainability through packaging. I feel few examples which I've highlighted is with emphasis on design and process. My first slide is on the pack from RPC Bremlag, and a great example on reduce. RPC Bremlag launched the most sustainable airless pump that is made of only 4 pieces versus the 10 currently generally used made of PP and P. The eco solution is made with material fully incorporated in the recycling loop. This I thought is a classic example of reduce with an emphasis on design. About 60% is completely moved out. My next example is SnapKit, and it is easy to reclose, just fold and snap, that's all. The innovative reclosing device, the SnapKit, takes a reclosure to the next level. It is convenient reclosing device, easy enough for everyone to use. So unlike many other reclosing alternative like screw-on caps and all, it's lightweight and part of the package. Once the package is opened, it can easily close by just folding the top and giving it a light pinch. The reclosing device is made from PET and adds less than about 0.38 grams to the total package weight, which is substantially less compared to the conventional reclosing device such as screw caps. You just need to fold and snap, that's all. My next slide is on parachute bottle as to how simulation and design helps in sustainability. Saving material is virtually the key component of sustainable innovation because it saves money, delivers lighter products, what consumers want, and is good for the environment at every stage of a product life cycle, from manufacturing to recycling. Hence, we integrated the 3D virtual design, finite element analysis into the product design and development process. As per our competition benchmarking in FMCG, we are the least in overall weight of packaging in both PET and HDP with respect to gram per ml, specifically in Parachute and Nihar. And we have got still lots to save. My next slide is removing, replace and remove. Removing is removing unnecessary use of packaging completely or substitute to give a better shelf throw. To give an example, while secondary cartons have escaped the claims, of over packaging in most categories, there is a growing question on the sustainability of toothpaste boxes. Japan, Sweden, Portugal are seeing about 40 to 50% decline in the carton usage in April 2019, between April 2019 and March 2020. From September 2019, this Portuguese retailer, Continente, moved to sell its private label toothpaste without a secondary carton. So to better communicate the reason for the change in store, the shelf display highlighted less weight, the same effectiveness. So even Kao has also gone with no carton packaging for its toothpaste in Japan. Moving to my next slide, and two excellent innovation which concentrates on the recyclability of the packs. Recyclability with innovation brings in a wow factor. That's how it is. So in 2018, DNP had this black color bottle with classic design with a black film with a traditional Kiriko texture, as they call it. The bottle, which is molded after a test tube like PET preform, covered with a colored functional film, is inflated. It's recyclable, it's light, it's easy to carry, stretchable, flexible, and has excellent light shielding and gas barrier capabilities. In the next generation plastic bottles, allowing for expanded design possibilities such as printing on the surface of the bottle, etc., etc. The colored films can be separated from the bottle for disposal purposes, and that's what the Japanese regulations want. Now the opportunity is limitless, although it started with sake, which requires the barrier for outdoor and leisure activities, but can be used for personal care and cosmetic industry. Actually, DNP development team has also succeeded in making a new PET bottle whose surface is adorned with stylish holograms. Viva IML tubes are manufactured by the molding process, injection molding process, in fact, and are decorated by in-mold labeling with a proprietary polypropylene resins. The label is literally embedded on the walls of the tube, forming an integral part of the tube walls and protecting use of decoration from stuff during distribution and use. These tubes are made with 30% PCR. Finally, my last slide is with, for jobs at stake for all my packaging professional like me, which becomes a bit scary. So consumers are recasting themselves as a modern day milkman, offering containers that consumers can return for refilling again and again. Such solutions will gather enough momentum to start changing how we think about packaging, turning it from disposable waste into useful product, with a long life. So in that process, Australian-based Flora and Fauna has created an interactive marketplace for zero-waste goods and services. This store will also include the first bulk eco-refill station in Australia, providing customers with the opportunity to bring their own containers to refill with shampoo, conditioners, and laundry detergents. My last example is a zero-waste option. US-based Kleinset has created a home appliance, that makes custom-made cleaning and hygiene products. This machine can shrink your plastic footprint and save money, as the company says. Cleanest is a part of a growing trend of zero-waste retail options, that include homemade cleaners and other products. It's a plan which cleaners compares with Keurig or Nespresso coffee in terms of easy to use. Mixes a batch of products in minutes, and it uses a reusable container. The tap water and packets of concentrate shipped by the company. The waste is minimal and the packets are completely recyclable, in fact. So that's all I have to say. And with this scary thought, I just got reminded of Mr. Prakash Iyer's Bridge over River Cholatika, which I read a couple of days back, where he mentions the challenge for us is that we get focused on creating the best solution, to a given problem, but we forget the problem itself might change. Hence, we need to reinvent, and instead of build to last, we should adapt the mantra of build to adapt. Finally, as my designer friend Shekhar, tells us, we have to move from object-oriented design to a subject-oriented design, and with a purpose of functionality angle. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Sridhar. Very, very enlightening. And also, as I said, it was not just theoretical. I think it was brands, solutions, and functionality that all of us could relate to. So thank you so much for your narrative. Before we move on to our next speaker, I had made a reference at the start of the session that we would like to conduct a few, we would like to harness some more information from all of you as related to today's session. So you will see a question on the screen very shortly, and I invite all of you to please share your answers, because this is the kind of qualitative feedback, both within the B2B realm also, and later offline in the B2C space, that we need to harness and give as feedback to our industry internally. So the question is, what is the single biggest factor in designing a packaging system for your product from a consumer viewpoint? Which do you think, and we can select only one, all are important, but which one do you think is the most important factor? Colors and aesthetics, visibility of product differentiation, or sustainability? So we'll close it in a few seconds, and we'll also at the end of the session, we'll probably see what kind of feedback we've received. Yeah, I think we're good with this. Okay, so we will share the results of this on the screen, as you can see. Okay, so there is, as I said, of course, all of them are important factors, but always good to know. Maybe when you take it to the B2C space, we might see some differences in the opinions, but always good to get these kind of inputs. So thank you, and we'll have a few more questions as we go ahead. Once again, thank you, Mr. Sridhar, and we move on to our next speaker. I'd like to invite Mr. Jikul Purohit from Hindustan Unilever. A quick introduction to him. Pretty much like Mr. Sridhar, he also brings over nearly 20 years of experience across local and packaging design and packaging development, having worked across the three salient categories of food and refreshments, home care, and personal care. He is also leading the packaging sustainability agenda for Unilever across Asia and also the ANZ territories. And it would be good to have his narrative both on the functionality aspect as well as on the sustainability aspect. Mr. Purohit, thanks for joining our session today, and I leave the stage to you for your narrative.
So hi, good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you HPCI and Packaging 360 for inviting me into this seminar. And it's a pleasure to kind of share a stage with my previous bosses and my senior Sridhar sir and Gagan sir. Today, I would like to talk, a little more about Unilever's approach in keeping the plastic in circular economy. And I will be kind of, sharing my screen. Yeah. Yeah. Can we move to the next slide, please? So at Unilever, we make one of the many of the world's favorite brand, and some of the product I'm sure you are also using as a consumer. Can we move to the next slide? Yeah. And basically, we have three key beliefs. One is brand with purpose grow. Second is company with purpose last. And third is people with purpose thrive. And this three belief actually brings us into our company purpose, which is to make sustainable living a commonplace. Yeah, the whole intent for us is to make sustainable living a very commonplace. Can we move to the next slide, please? And the next slide. And we believe that, basically why sustainability is very important, because uh, the world, the way we are using resources, maybe in a couple of decades, the amount of the resources will deplete. Yeah, but it is possible to live in the same world, or to exist in the same world, if we start kind of preserving these resources. And that's where the whole area of sustainability and circular economy comes in place. In 2017, Unilever was among the first founder member of Ellen MacArthur Foundation circular economy, and we went into the market with our two key commitments. The first one was saying that by 2025 we'll ensure that all our plastic packaging will be reusable, recyclable, and compostable. And the second announcement which we made is that by 2025, 25% of the plastic packaging will actually come from recycled plastic content, that is post-consumer resin, or what we commonly call as a PCR. Now, the whole intent is, number one, when we make our packaging fully recyclable or reusable or compostable, it ensures that the chances that it gets recycled and it comes back into the economy, so that resources, we don't need to depend on a virgin, or we don't need to depend on a natural resources. We can reuse, or we can multiple time we can use the same. And that's one of the key principle of circular economy. And second thing is, by committing to use 25% PCR or post consumer plastic, what we are also trying to create is, one is we are using that plastic back into our product, yeah, with all sort of a safety and checks. But at the same time, we are creating a back end industry, because once there is a demand which is created, supply side automatically uh, aligns, and then there are new suppliers which comes. And just to give you an Indian example or Indian context, once we committed to this, and we started experimenting with some of our product. And that's where, when we came in contact with one of the startup called as Banyan Nation, I'm sure many of you in a packaging industry might have already heard about them. They recycle the HDPE, and we actually take recycled HDPE from Banyan Nation. Unilever gave them the intent that if you start making it in a professional and a scientific way, the PCR, which was at that point of time lagging in the country, we will buy certain quantity from you. Based on our commitment and our letter, they went into the funding for their startup. And last year they have completely inaugurated a state-of-art new plant from where they are making this HDP granules. And any of you who are using our Tresemme shampoo or our laundry products like Surf Excel Matic or Surf Excel Liquid, those bottles are already with 25% PCR. Yeah, so thereby this was our first commitment, being fully recyclable, reusable, or compostable. At the same time, we were committed and we started using PCR back into our packaging. Can we change the slide, please? But though we made this commitment and we started progressing on the agenda, we also know that today we are tackling with multiple issues, and things like litter or plastic littering the marine environment or the environment around us. Sometime in the news you will read that cow is actually eating X kilo of plastic, and that is a cause for death, or the birds are dying because of some of the plastic component which are getting ingested, which they think are food. Yeah, and that's where we started thinking even deeper, saying that whatever we are doing, is it enough? Yeah, and that's where we came up saying that we believe that plastic has its place. So plastic is not bad, but that place is not in our street, not in river, or not in ocean. Yeah, so the plastic does not have a place in the environment, and our effort also actually need to increase further. And that's where in last October we came with a new commitment, or we came with enhanced commitment, wherein we said, okay, what we are doing today is not enough, and we need to really do more. Can we play the video, please, the first video?
There's a lot of plastic pollution in the environment, and the uncomfortable truth is that some of it has got our name on it, and that is not okay with us. In fact, it hasn't just made us think, it's made us rethink. So now more than ever at Unilever, we're rethinking the way that we use plastic packaging in our products. You could say we're getting drastic with plastic.
We don't want to get rid of plastic entirely.
For the safe,
efficient,
and economic distribution of our products,
plastic still has its place.
But that place isn't our environment.
Not in our streets, not in our rivers, and not in our oceans.
No, where plastic belongs
is inside something called the circular economy.
This is where plastic is either
reused, recycled,
or made compostable.
It's kept in a loop
to stop it from ever finding its way
into the environment.
And this way of thinking is already changing the way we are acting.
In the next 5 years,
we'll halve the amount of virgin, unrecycled plastic that we use.
And as part of that, we will get rid of more than 100,000 tons of plastic packaging.
Completely.
In the next 5 years, working with our partners,
we'll help collect and process
more plastic packaging than we sell.
Yes, more than we sell.
And in the next 5 years,
100% of the plastic we do use
will be reusable,
recyclable,
or compostable.
Every last bit of it.
We also need you, our consumers, our suppliers, our retailers, our employees, and many others to join us on this journey. Because there are things that you can do that will make a real difference. So please help us to close the loop on plastic, and let's make our blue planet blue again.
Can we move to the next slide? Yeah. Yeah. So 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 that's where we believe that there is a place for plastic, but that place is inside something called as a circular economy. And this circular economy has key three angles to it. One is, how do we reduce the use of plastic? So yes, plastic is good, but wherever possible, using the latest technology, we need to strive towards reducing the overall usage of plastic. Second is, wherever we are using plastic, we need to ensure that it is 100% recyclable. At the same time, we should use more and more recycled content into the plastic. And third one is that not only by design or by material, our job does not end there. The back end, or the collection and recycling side of it also, there is a lot of jobs to be done. And that's where how the key companies, or the key FMCG companies, can partner with the recyclers or with the collectors, and ensure that this plastic is actually collected and is coming back, and we are using it as a recycled plastic. Can we move to the next slide? And we are on track to deliver on our commitment, basically making sure that all our plastic is reusable, recyclable, or compostable by 2025. At the same time, we will use minimum 25% of the PCR, or post consumer plastic, back into our packaging. And I will talk about some of the work, or some of the examples, how we are doing these things on ground. And like Sridhar sir mentioned, we need a holistic approach. We need to think end to end. And that's where I will play the next video, and then I will explain the context in terms of how we are thinking holistic in the complete plastic value chain. Can we play the next video, please? Thank you. Can we move the slide? Yeah, sorry. So basically, the detectable black plastic is like Dr. Rangaprasad also mentioned. This is one of the work which Unilever did. And while we were designing our strategy around plastic, we visited many of the plastic recycler, as well as many of the material recovery facility across the globe. And what we noticed during one of our visit in America, is that black plastic, which is actually recyclable, but in the automatic IR sorter, so if you go to any developed country, and also in some part of India, they use the infrared sensor to kind of detect what is the material, and according to that, it goes into that bale, and the material goes into that stream. And what we noticed was the black plastic bottle were actually getting rejected. Then we said, saying that, oh, almost like 8 to 10% of our portfolio is into black colored plastic bottle. And if, though in spite of it being recyclable, if it is going into the reject stream, this is something which is wrong. And that's where we started going into the detail of it. And what we realized is that conventionally, for black plastic, carbon black was used as a master batch, and the carbon was not detectable in the IR frequency range. And that's where we started working with a partner. So we started working with Clariant and the team, and we came up with a pigment-based black master batch, which can be detected by any of the sensor. And we decided saying that, this knowledge is not only to be kept for Unilever, but this knowledge is to be shared with industry. So that's where, this whole insight is something which we shared with all of the partners in the industry. And today, not only Unilever has changed its master batch, but a lot of companies across the globe are changing its master batch to the detectable black master batch, and that's how more and more chances of this plastic getting into the recycling stream and not going into the landfill. Yeah, so that is kind of one of the example. Other two examples, so you see the bottle called as a Bango. Bango is a soy sauce in Indonesia, and in Indonesia we have partnered with Danone as well as Veolia, who is one of the biggest waste recycler. So Unilever, Veolia, and Danone has come together to make a food grade PET PCR, and our soy sauce bottle Bango is made with 100% of those PCR PET. Yeah, and Domestos toilet block is also another classical example wherein the primary packaging, which is the toilet rim block, is made with a recycled polypropylene. At the same time, the outer case or the tertiary packaging is a PET thermoformed, which is also made with 100% PCR PET. So thereby we are, in our packaging value chain, we are making sure that our packaging is 100% reusable, recyclable, and compostable. Can we move to the next video, please? Sorry, yeah. But we know that whatever we are doing is probably one part of the agenda, and we really need to do more. And that's where Unilever committed, saying that we will reduce our virgin plastic packaging by half, or by 50% by 2025, and 1/3 of this, which will come from absolute plastic reduction by eliminating over 100,000 tons of a plastic in packaging in next 5 years. Yeah, so I mean, plastic is not bad, but wherever possible, our intent as a packaging developer should be to kind of keep reducing the natural resources, so is for the plastic. And thereby a lot of effort across the organization is happening in terms of, first of all, how do we kind of reduce the usage of plastic in our footprint, and we are committed to reduce it. We have actually taken a very, very audacious goal of reducing it by half, and out of which 1/3 will come from absolute reduction, and remaining will actually be replaced. The virgin plastic will be replaced by recycled plastic or a PCR, as I was trying to show some of the examples. Yeah, can we play the video, please? Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah. So, this is one of the example, and when we are talking about, reducing plastic by 1/3, which is again a very, very big change, it comes with a consumer habit change. And it also is a holistic agenda wherein, it cannot happen by only purely a packaging change. For that, everyone needs to come together. So our suppliers, our partners, our formulation and product development colleagues and their ingredient, so how HPCI and some of you who are today listening, everyone contributes to this innovations. One of the example of the video which we saw about the SIF eco refill, what we call. So all of us know that the pump or the sprayer, it use multiple component, and that's where it is very difficult to recycle that. Yeah, and that's where we thought and we came with this idea or this innovation. Yeah, so there were two insight. One is saying that the pump can be actually used for almost like 100 times, but every time we use a new trigger and a new spray, thereby we are increasing the load and something which is not recyclable. Second thing is that some of this product contain a lot of water, and what we are transporting is actually a water, and there is a huge opportunity to concentrate some of the HPC product. So that's where we club both this insight, and we came with a innovation called as a SIF eco refill or a Vim eco refill in some part of the world, wherein you can get this small plastic refill which is made with 100% recycled plastic. Yeah, and inside that the product or the formulation is actually 10 times concentrated. Yeah, so you get the same efficacy when you dilute it at home. So what consumer then need to do is they need to take water. The bottle is marked up to this level, you need to fill this water. Yeah, and then you need to place, this bottle is also very conveniently designed. You need to place and gently screw the bottle. Once you screw it onto the bigger container, the content inside drops, and you can just gently shake it, put the trigger back again, and you can reuse it. And in case your trigger is having any problem, or if you get this trigger is not functioning properly, we also have given a toll-free number where you can just request us for delivering the free trigger, and we will ship it and courier it to your home. So this innovation is something which is already there in the UK and Canada market, and thereby we are able to reduce plastic footprint almost by 75%. Yeah, so if you take the current SIF spray bottle versus that 75% reduction in plastic, not only this but also the content as uh, not only this but also the sorry for disturbance, there is some noise around, but yeah. So not only this but also uh, the the uh, the product has completely changed and revamped. The other two examples are like one is a Solero wrapper, which is our ice cream container. So earlier, in Europe, we sell ice cream in a multi-pack of 5 and 6s, and each ice cream was, wrapped inside a plastic flow wrap. And we actually started working with, one of the paper manufacturer who came out with food contact safe paper, and thereby, we eliminated the inside flow wrap completely, thereby saving 35% of the plastic content, and the naked ice cream bars are now directly going inside the paper container. Similarly, we have piloted a refillery concept wherein the content or the products are inside a bigger canister. Consumer can go with their own set of bottle, or our merchandiser will have a small set of fully PCR based 100% PCR based bottle with them, so they can fill, and the amount of product which you need, you can take that much product and you can pay for it. Thereby you don't actually need the complete bottle, and thereby you can actually save on 100% of that plastic footprint if consumer is coming with their own plastic footprint. So thereby these are like a few smaller example by which we are kind of reducing plastic footprint drastically. Along with, yeah, there are other initiatives like how we can down gauge something or make something thinner. Those kind of continuous improvement always keeps going. Yeah, can we just see the next video, please?
This is the tale of Love, Beauty and Planet. Love, Beauty and Planet started with one goal: to make you more beautiful and give a little love to the planet. How? Through small acts of love. Like choosing fragrances made with an ethically sourced essential oil or absolute. Our formulas? We make them with beautiful ingredients like organic coconut oil and sustainably sourced Mira butter, so we can make products that your skin and hair will love. When it comes to conditioners, we thought they'd take too long to rinse out, so we developed fast rinse conditioner technology that not only hydrates your hair, but can help you save some water too. But go easy on the tap, because every bit counts. We know what our bottles are made of is just as important as what goes into them, so we made bottles entirely from recycled plastic and made them 100% recyclable. Now it's on you to recycle them. We did this because a few small acts of love can make a beautiful difference. And our story is just getting started.
Yeah. So basically, another biggest work which we are doing is in terms of increasing the recycled material back into our packaging. And one of the example is Love, Beauty and Planet. It is also launched in India, available on Amazon. If any one of you interested, please go and buy this product, because these are 100% vegan product with sustainably sourced ingredient. And not only that, but the packaging or the bottle is actually made with 100% recycled plastic. Yeah. So one of the greatest example of our innovation. And the bottle is completely safe. It is made of 100% recycled PET. Taking this agenda from HPC to something which is more difficult, to take it into the arena of foods. And I'm sure some of you might have seen our latest announcement on Magnum ice cream, wherein the polypropylene tub of Magnum ice cream is made with 100% recycled plastic. And we have launched this in Europe, and our intent is to launch it across the world by 2025. This is again a technology developed in partnership with SABIC, wherein chemically recycled polypropylene is used. In a similar fashion, we have developed a joint technology with Indorama, and thereby chemically recycling the polyester or a PET, and even the colored PET, which is difficult to recycle, can be recycled, and you can get it as a new. So Hellmann's mayonnaise, the containers are going to go into the market, which are 100% chemically recycled PET. And in Europe, in Netherlands, this is something which is already got launched. Similarly, in South Africa, Sunlight or something like our Vim liquid, the bottles are made with 100% recycled plastic in South Africa. And in liquid, any one of you are buying that, I think you should be proud that those bottles are one of the first one to have 50% PCR PET content in it. And we are totally committed to making sure that circularity is established, and thereby increasing the recycled content into our packaging. Can we move to the next slide? And so like I was telling that not only making sure that our designs and our packaging is recyclable, or we are using the recycled content, or we are reducing the plastic, but also important that this plastic is not littered into the environment. So what do we do in terms of collecting this plastic and ensuring that this plastic is responsibly recycled? So how, as a organization, we can move this agenda further. And that's where we are committed that we will help to collect and process more plastic than we sell by 2025. Can we move to the next slide? And some of the examples of what we are doing on ground is in India we have a partnership called as UNDP, United Nations Development Program. So we have established a decentralized dry waste collection center wherein we recycle. We actually get the dry waste from the consumers. Not only that, in a frontline we explain them the importance of segregating their waste in a first place, so that this waste is segregated into dry and a wet. Once this dry waste is there, so paper, glass, metal, and also the plastic and the flexible plastic is all collected in this center, and we ensure that this goes into a respective recycling stream, and flexible plastic is actually recovered for the energy. Yeah. Similarly, in Indonesia we have done a very interesting a pilot called as we have tied up with a pilot called as Waste Bank. Waste Bank is a woman self-help group. In their afternoon free time, this women come together and they collect this plastic, and they are able to sell this plastic, thereby increasing their income and thereby increasing or improving the livelihood of the whole family. And similarly, in Nigeria we have partnered with recyclers who are collecting this plastic waste from Nigeria and ensuring that PET and HDPE are responsibly recycled, thereby ensuring that not only making sure that our materials are sustainable, but also ensuring that on ground we have the collection and we have the recycling pilot. And Unilever is again one of the member of Circulate Capital, which is sustainable fund, and they fund some of this kind of a waste or some of the sustainable entrepreneurs. And one of the company based in western part of India was already funded, who is actually putting a recycled content into the flexible packaging bag. So a company called as Lucro was funded by Circulite, which in turn was funded by Unilever. So thereby not only collecting it, but also funding some of the startup who has this kind of a new idea is part of our overall agenda. Can we just move to the next slide? And all these things are not possible only with Unilever. For this we need everybody in the loop to come together. So that's where some of you who are our suppliers, some of you who are innovators and have a new idea, you also have a role to play. And if none of it, but you as a consumer also has a role to play. And that's where we welcome everyone, and let's all work together to keep plastic in the loop. Can we move to the next slide, please? And just to summarize that, three main areas: cutting down the usage of the virgin plastic and reducing absolute plastic is very important. Making sure that our packs are 100% reusable, recyclable, or compostable, and also ensuring that we collect and process more than what we sell into the marketplace are three important lever or three important parameters of our plastic commitment. Can we move to the last slide? And I think before I end, just a tip or a 5-point plastic agenda which I want to share with all of us. And how do we in our companies or in our area reduce this plastic, and thereby increasing or improving our sustainability quotient is number one is reduce plastic wherever possible. The second is make sure that we use recyclable materials and we increase use of the PCR or post-consumer recycled content into our plastic. Third one is seeking alternative to plastic wherever possible. So wherever possible, we eliminate plastic completely. The fourth one, it is very important to work in collaboration with partners. So look for the right partners and look for the collaboration as an industry to come together, because individually we cannot drive certain things, but together we can reach miles much faster. And last one is, helping consumers to better understand the action which they can take. Yeah, because it is also equally important that consumer understand how they can help, or what is the intent behind this packaging change or packaging innovation. Until and unless they understand that, or they understand their contribution, they will not accept those new changes. And that's where bringing consumer also into the whole chain is equally important. So thereby, by doing this 5 things in our own areas or in our own workplace, we can certainly make a huge change in plastic. And the last thing I want to end my speech is by saying that we do not inherit the earth from our ancestor, we borrow it from our children, and help us to kind of close the loop on plastic and make our blue planet blue again. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Purohit. Appreciate your macro view on sustainability in the packaging area, particularly giving us cross-functional references, which which you have been able to harness from your HUL expertise. So before we move on, I'd like to once again invite the audience to please be a part of a poll. If we could have the question on the screen, please. Okay, I'm sorry. What we'll do is we'll field there are three couple of questions. We'll field it after the last presentation. So I'd like to move on, and I'd like to invite our third speaker, guest speaker, Mr. Gagan, to please field the stage. Quick introduction to him. He's again a seasoned professional in the packaging space with over 35 years of experience, spanning leading organizations like Ranbaxy, Unilever, and he currently heads the packaging global packaging development at the Himalaya drug company, heading packaging across verticals like pharma, personal care, home care, foods, and also animal and baby care. So we hope to learn from his experience and expertise on the packaging of Himalaya's varied range of natural products. Mr. Gagandeep, the stage is yours.
Raghavan, how much time do I have? Because we are almost through now.
No, that's okay, sir. You can. We're still good with time. You can take 15 minutes. Okay. That's okay.
Okay, thanks. First of all, HPCI and Packaging 360 for inviting me, and it's great to have be in this panel with my colleagues, ex-colleagues, Sridhar and Jikul. It's always great to connect with them. So basically, I basically will focus my presentation on what are the key mega trends. I think Sridhar and Jikul have covered a lot in terms of where this whole innovation is heading, and also the whole landscape on sustainability and the way that whole area is evolving. What I will cover in my part of the presentation is what I see as other mega trends that are shaping the packaging landscape in the personal care industry. So I'll basically focus on the personal care industry. This industry obviously has been evolving a lot over the last couple of years, and you're seeing sweeping changes in the industry. Some of that was covered by Sridhar actually in his presentation. So what I will broadly cover is some of the big changes that we see going forward, and how the companies are going to leverage these changes, and how we can actually drive a very big change in the packaging landscape to be able to cater to the emerging requirements of the consumer, and also the to win in the marketplace. So basically, I'll be broadly covering some of these mega trends, and that is the focus of my presentation. And of course, I will also cover a little bit about the impact that environmental considerations are having on this whole landscape. Can you go to the next slide, please? So what is basically driving, what are the key elements that are driving the change in the personal care packaging landscape? So one, of course, there's a huge change that is happening in the product offerings and the formats itself. And that is what is going to drive this whole change in the packaging. There is also a lot of evolution in the design thinking, actually, which is happening, because what used to be a traditional way of designing in the past, there's been a lot of rethink along those lines, and therefore there is a significant change in the evolution of the design thinking. Then, of course, we have the environmental considerations, which are becoming extremely important. We know how these whole channel specific requirements are changing with the time. So we all know that in these challenging COVID times, e-commerce, for example, has become a very important channel in the scheme of things. And we are finding that a lot of consumers are now depending on e-commerce as their channel of delivery, just because the big retail and the retail environment has not been operating. And therefore, how do we design our products for e-commerce? How do we design our products for modern trade? And what are the channel specific requirements that are going to play a role in terms of how the overall packaging design and the packaging format changes? Yeah, and then, of course, what are the capabilities that are required for facilitating a quick turnaround of these innovations? What are the big capabilities that the organizations need to evolve to be able to meet this changing demand? And how do they really leverage this whole space so that they are able to really take advantage of the evolving situation? So can I go to the next slide, please? So basically, what you see, I have shared a few examples. The overall, if you see the way the packaging, personal care packaging landscape is changing, is people are moving to more and more simplistic design. The whole emphasis is on creating a design that is very simplistic, but at the same time, it actually speaks the language of the product. Therefore, the whole idea is to make the design, very simple, but at the same time, ensure that you are able to leverage all the other senses. For example, the feel, the visual appeal, and the entire correlation of the pack to the product, so that you are able to get a much better understanding of what this product stands for. And the idea is to really keep the basic design very simple, but play with all the senses, whether it's the visual or the sensory related to the finish, the touch, and everything else. Also, what is happening is in personal care particularly, it's moving to an area where people are looking at a full product regimen. So if you see a typical life cycle, or if you see the total regimen of a consumer today, they start with a cleansing product in the morning, and then they move on to toners, then they move on to serums, which are specialized products, treatment products, and then they have these lotions and sunscreens and moisturizers, which they apply as a full regimen. So basically what happens is that if you see the entire product usage, there are very specific requirements pertaining to each of these categories of products. So for example, if you look at specialized treatment products, they require very specific applicators which can be used to give a very targeted delivery of the product at a specific place, which is because these are very highly specialized treatment products, and therefore they require a very targeted delivery. So therefore the entire packaging design is basically suited as per the requirement of that particular category. Yeah, so for every category has its own demands. Yeah, for example, as I said, serums require very specialized applicators. Then you have these spot applications which you require for treatment of, say, black spots and stuff like that, which again require a very specific delivery system. And then you also so the entire packaging design, or the focus of the design, is in terms of being able to deliver very specific product delivery pertaining to that product application. And that is what is really the the landscape that most of the personal care companies are looking at creating. So it's always about a regimen of products, and the entire regimen should speak the language of the product. There's obviously a very strong link. So just by seeing the product, a consumer should be able to correlate as to what this product really stands for. And therefore, the challenge for all the packaging team is to really make sure that the packaging speaks the language, as I said, of the product, and we are able to, the consumer is able to very clearly identify what this product is all about. For example, if you see these two examples which are there on the screen, one of these products is actually a gold-based product, where you see that the packaging has been completely designed to show the visuals related to the gold effect of the product itself. The product above is really based on a pearl delivery system, and therefore the entire packaging connotes the design of pearl, and you can, by looking at it from a distance, be able to clearly see what the product is trying to communicate. So the whole idea is to have a very strong linkage with the product, and then of course you need to also have a very strong association with the category codes, because every category has a certain correlation to the pack itself, and therefore it is very important to be able to ensure that you are adhering to the category code, because that is what is consumer correlates that pack with. And of course there are a lot of new delivery systems that are now taking center stage, which are going to be the the formats for the future. For example, masks are becoming extremely important. In fact, if you go to any of the far eastern countries and any of the evolved economies, you'll find that there are masks for practically everything. So they apply masks on every part of the body, and it is generally believed that masks can be much more effective delivery system compared to our traditional delivery system, because they give you a concentrated product which is delivered much more effectively to through the skin, and therefore they are far more effective as compared to your traditional products. So there is a lot of evolution around this whole area of masks. Also, you have a lot of very specialized applicators that people are using, as I said, for very targeted delivery. Things like metal balls, which are there for application at the black spots, and also in terms of the under eye applications. And then of course the whole idea is to have a much more controlled dispensing, so that the consumer has a very good experience in terms of the product delivery itself. That is why you see that a lot of these as part of the regimen, there is also a lot of evolution of mist based products, where a very fine mist can do a coverage for your entire face, and you can actually get a very soothing experience when you actually spray that particular pack. And therefore the whole idea is to ensure that you are able to have a very effective delivery for each of these product categories, and now used as a full product regimen. So that's really the theme of most of the personal care products these days, and the whole idea is to make a packaging system which is suitable for each of these categories, which are going to form the entire gamut of products that the consumer uses. And many of these products are actually used both in the morning and in the evening. So you have a regimen for these products in the morning and in the evening. Generally, if you see that the consumer will start with a cleansing product, and therefore and as the day progresses, as they progress from one product to the other, normally the consistency of the product keeps on increasing, and therefore the delivery system also has to be in line, suitable for those kind of that kind of an increase in consistency. Yeah, so that is broadly the format related to the whole idea of designing a pack which is related to the product offering and the formats that are emerging in this particular segment. Can you go to the next slide, please? The other big thinking, change which I see is in the area of the whole design thinking itself. Yeah. So the as I mentioned earlier, the whole idea is to make this design much simpler, but at the same time, the whole emphasis is on functionality. For example, when a consumer is applying a product, sometimes they may be using a mirror, so they should be able to use that product with a single hand. And the whole idea is, how do we build that kind of a functionality in terms of ensuring that you are able to hold the product and at the same time deliver it using one hand, and at the same time you provide the right ergonomics for the pack itself, so that it's easy to hold, and you should be able to deliver what you're wanting to do with one hand operation. So there is the whole emphasis is around functionality rather than which becomes the key driver of the design itself. Then of course the whole the other big area is about how do we really capitalize on the visual cues, because at the end of the day the pack has to be a mirror image of the product. In some way you need to be able to very strongly correlate, just by looking at the pack, what this product stands for and what is the purpose of this product, what does it really deliver. And if that is why, if you see these examples on the right hand side, you'll find that for example, this is the lower jar is actually a hair and body wash for the babies, and the pump has been designed in terms of the basic herb that is used for making this product. So this product uses a particular herb which is very typical in that particular area, and it is believed to have very strong benefits that it delivers. And the entire pump has been designed in the shape of a leaf, which actually connotes that particular herb, and therefore the association with that product becomes extremely strong. Similarly, you have on the right hand side these special applicators which consumers are using for applying specialized products in the hair, and these are highly focused delivery. This can give you a very focused delivery at a very specific point, and they almost act like treatment products, and they are extremely effective in terms of delivery of the product at the desired site. So the whole idea is to really use the packaging design and the packaging formats in a manner that it actually link with the product. Of course, the idea is to also have very effective dispensing systems and in-use experience. As I said, the whole idea is that the person should be able to ergonomically hold it and then apply it in a manner that is most convenient for usage, because at the end of the day it's all about in-use convenience, which is very important in terms of the whole experience. And then of course the other big thing is, with the limited space that you have on the decoration panel and on the labels, how do we make sure that we are able to provide a much stronger connect to the consumer? So the whole idea is to get into either augmented reality or use certain cues in your pack design, which helps in a very strong correlation with the product proposition. And you are also able to sometimes depict a story which is far more than what you can physically see. So how is this product made? So if you can, that is where I think augmented reality plays a very important role. These days the consumers would like to know much more than what is visible. Many of the organizations are actually using these special apps which can actually help you to narrate a story, the whole story about the supply chain, about how this product was manufactured, and what are the kind of ingredients that have been used in terms of manufacturing of the product, so that the whole authenticity about the product is far more it comes out much stronger compared to just seeing a product the way it is. So the whole idea is to have a much stronger consumer connect and being able to communicate much more than what you can do on a normal a normal label design. So that is the whole thinking behind this evolution in design thinking, which is taking center stage in terms of designing of products and creating this whole experience. Can you go to the next slide, please? Hello. I think a lot has been spoken already about sustainability and how important it is in our new scheme of things. But two areas I wanted to specially emphasize with respect to how consumers view this whole area. So what brands have started doing is, one is, because that in the new scheme of things, people are moving more and more towards nature. Yeah, the whole idea is to really exploit nature as the many of the brands are actually trying to enter into this whole space of connect with the nature. Yeah, they want to connote a much stronger connect with the nature, and they're trying to use at least build very strong visual cues in terms of how they can use more natural products in their packaging. And on the screen you can see a few jars that have been made out of bamboo shoots. It's just a way of being able to depict the whole connect with the nature. And it makes the whole proposition much stronger, because what you want to show is that this product is actually made out of natural resources, and it is closer to the nature, and the entire proposition is based on natural ingredients. But what consumers, what many brands are also doing, which is very important, is to build this whole proposition of how environmentally responsible they are. So it's not only important to be environmentally responsible, but also be able to communicate it to the consumers, because consumers perceive that as a very important aspect, and they want to see the brands really making a difference in the to the environment. So basically, you see on the right hand side some of the stuff that brands are communicating, things like how they are made from corn, 100% renewable resource, or how they are being recycled, or how they have used recycled content in their packaging, so that there's a very strong message that goes that they are not only talking about environmental friendliness or about the whole sustainability angle, but they are trying to bring it into their packaging, and they want to use that as a very strong brand proposition. So consumers really want to see what is it that the brand is doing actually that makes a difference to the environment, and that can be a very big product plus for any brand to build that kind of credibility from an environmental perspective. Can you go to the next slide, please? So the other point that I was mentioning in the beginning was that a lot of changes are happening in the new scheme of things, where brands have to now make a specific effort to make sure that the packaging that they're designing is suitable for each of these channels. Yeah, for example, e-commerce is becoming an extremely important channel now in the new scheme of things, especially with the with the pandemic that we have seen, that consumers are just not able to go out and shop in a very traditional way. So they're preferring e-commerce as a, and we have often not given enough importance in terms of ensuring that the designs are compatible with e-commerce. In India, unfortunately, we did not have a very strong regulation in terms of what is required to be built, because many of these packs, by the time they come and many consumers actually experience it, they actually see that the product has leaked, or in certain cases it has broken, because the entire distribution cycle in e-commerce can be very different from the way the products are distributed in the traditional way. So there is a lot of guidelines that are there in many of the other countries, where you have to specifically build certain features that make it suitable for e-commerce. And there are certain guidelines, especially when it comes to dispensing systems, pumps, and other things, where you need to be able to consciously design a product which is suitable for e-commerce delivery. And also you need to think of your secondary packaging design, because people perceive a lot of plastics or over packaging as something which is undesirable. So you need to really understand what is the the optimum amount of packaging that you need to have, and to be able to deliver it most effectively in an e-commerce environment. Of course, what has been the case in in the traditional trade is that point of sale and shelf-ready packaging have been extremely important in the in our modern trade environment, and we need to be whenever we are designing a pack, we need to be very conscious of what kind of a competitive environment it is going to face, and therefore what is the kind of shelf-ready packaging and the point of sale packaging solutions you need to have in a normal modern trade environment. And also in India, it is very important that you need to have specific solutions which are specifically tailored for general trade. But see, even in the tier 2 cities and in the rural areas, consumers have the same aspirations. Yeah, the aspirations of those consumers are no different from the aspirations of an urban consumer. We need to be able to provide the right solutions at the right price points, which are more suitable for the general trade. But at the same time, they still connote that premiumness, or they still connote that aspirational value. So you need to have a solution which straddles across all the channels that you're going to service, right from general trade to modern trade to e-commerce. And the whole idea is to be able to straddle that brand across all these while still maintaining the brand sanctity. So you still need to be able to look and feel the same brand, and should be able to still connote the same values that you stand for, while you're being able to service all the three channels. So it's very important, and that's where the packaging professionals have to think about how they tailor these solutions which are suitable for different channels. Yeah, so that's about the adaptation. And can you go to the last slide, please? So what is happening is, things are changing at a very rapid pace. So for example, product life cycles are shortening by the day. You could have a product life cycle not lasting more than a year. In certain countries, the products change at a pace of almost 7 to 8 months. You need to be able to churn out your innovations at a much faster pace. And all this requires a very strong ecosystem for generating the designs, making very rapid tools, and being able to launch in a very fast manner. So you for most of the personal care companies, the biggest challenge is to be able to create that kind of a infrastructure and create that kind of an ecosystem where you have these ecosystem partners who provide you very specialized services, or being able to design and come out with solutions at a very fast pace. And that to me is going to be the key differentiator between different organizations. And this is all at the end of the day about partnerships. How you're able to generate those kind of partnerships, how you're able to leverage their skills, and able to really create a system of being able to roll out the innovations fastest. Because every day lost is about revenue lost. So you need to be able to create that kind of partnership and that kind of an ecosystem to be able to really leverage your ability to launch products very fast, and at the same time you should be able to react very fast. You also need to have very well established infrastructure for driving point of sale, because point of sale is as important as the packaging itself. You need to be able to stand out in the point of sale, and you need to be able to come up with solutions which are shelf ready solutions or point of sale solutions which can make your brand stand out in a cluttered marketplace. And for that also you require a very strong ecosystem to be able to come up with these point of sale and shelf ready solutions, which helps your brand to really stand out in a cluttered marketplace. So that's broadly what I wanted to say. It is all about, how do we make sure that we are, true to the product. We are able to really communicate the product proposition. It's all about, providing that consumer convenience, which is, which is the prime experience that the consumer has. How do we really increase the connect with the consumer and connect with the nature? And how do we really create an ecosystem of partnerships which helps us to churn out innovations much faster and be able to stand out in a cluttered marketplace? So that is all about this whole personal care story. Yeah, and that is how I see this whole market evolving in the future. So that's it from me.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Gagandeep. Appreciate that little journey you took us through, and it's all very, very coherent when you look at it in terms of the success that Himalaya has actually achieved in this space. I would request all panelists to please come back on screen, switch on their videos. We have just a couple of questions to field from the audience that have come in. But in the meantime, we just wanted to put up one question and take a poll. This is, of course, related to sustainability. We wanted to get an idea from the audience as to what they see as the biggest barrier in adopting sustainability and packaging. What is that one aspect that would disallow them or keep them from embracing sustainability in packaging? The options are there. If over the next 30 seconds you could please choose your particular option. I think we can have the results now. Okay, so the lack of infrastructure is clearly something that seems to be dominant. Okay, it's good. It's good. Maybe some of the future editions of our sessions could actually revolve around this and take these particular things forward. The good thing is we have a ready ecosystem and ready supply chain partners who are willing and able to help us in this particular field. Now, I think the onus is on us as the supply chain to really come together and address this. Nevertheless, that is something to be dealt with offline. There is a bit of paucity in time, but we will take a couple of questions that are relevant. I'm taking the liberty of clubbing a few questions together and also skipping a few, but we will be able to address this one way or the other as we continue to engage. There's one question or a couple of questions that I've combined into one for the panelists. People are asking, what about the concept of monomaterials? We have different materials for the bottles or different materials for the main container and different materials for the closure. That renders recycling even more challenging in the field of sustainability. What are your thoughts on using monomaterials for the entire package? All of you could perhaps chip in.
No, so I think very relevant question, and not only for rigid but also for some of the flexible. I think it is very important. So wherever possible, I think monomaterial is probably way forward or way to go. And so there are two ways. One is either you have a monomaterial which makes sure that the thing can be recycled without much of a hassle, or second way is you educate consumer, or at a back end you need to have the infrastructure so that both the things can be separated. Yeah, and in rigid it is very much possible. So today you have a PET bottle with a HDE or a polypropylene cap, which can very easily be separated using float sink kind of a mechanism, and which can be recycled. Yeah, but yes, for flexible packaging where we use laminates with multiple material, definitely there the monomaterial is is probably one of the most preferred way to go. Yeah. Thanks.
We have a specific question which relates to the use of coatings, inks, and adhesives, as ancillary materials in the packaging space. What are the panelists' views on how do these contribute to, how do you think these interface with sustainability in terms of either contributing positively or being a challenge in the field of sustainability, coatings, inks, and adhesives? Mr. Sridhar, maybe you could address this.
I would take both this. I would just add to what Jikul has rightly said. In fact, what my personal view, starting from where Jikul left and going into coatings and adhesives, I think this monomaterial part of it again, as rightly the collection system part of it, which everybody is struggling. Whether it be any FMCG for that matter, and we as packaging development professionals itself are struggling to get the right quality of the material for recycling, and unless that stream is solved, your government steps into action, and maybe a collaboration is done by some body, we will never be able to come out of this, unlike the European or the American systems. So that is a bigger challenge, and I think just dumping plastics into saying that it's bad is not the right way to go about. Coming to adhesives and all, I think it's my view is that the inks, the adhesives, and all contribute to a very minimal quantity. It's about 2-3 GSM or 5 GSM, something like that. And when it gets into the recycling stream, yes, the only problem is more on the laminate rather than anything else. And once it comes to the laminate, the polyurethane-based adhesives and all will become a challenge. And of course, the toluene-free, which has picked up in the recent past of the toluene-free inks. And hence the more we go towards the solventless adhesive, it's better, or an extrusion coating, it will be better. Those views, those are the routes maybe we have to take it in future, to come out of these problems.
Thank
maybe
you,
if I can just add one last thing. So I think sometime some of these components are also playing an important role. And like I was showing this example of Love, Beauty and Planet. So here the label which is there is again made with a special type of adhesive, which is known as a clean peel. So when you put it in a hot wash, it automatically peels off and it does not interfere with the PCR manufacturing chain. So sometime I think the small intervention into ink, adhesive and label and a coating actually makes much larger difference into the overall chain, and a lot of advancements are happening. I think our regulatories are also making a lot of changes, like the ink toluene free and other thing. And I think all of us always keep looking for whatever new is coming in this field and how we can use it into our application to make it more and more holistic and better.
Can I just
please doctor.
See as far as your question on coatings are concerned, we've seen a lot of shift in both FMCG and food and beverage packaging going to paper, and especially coatings, especially developed by Michelman, have now received the compostability certification from BPI. So that's one advancement that has taken place in coatings. Inks, yes, Seagwork has already come out with a de-inking technology in collaboration with APK. And what was the other one? Last one? It was in adhesives.
Adhesives.
The adhesives, as I showed you in one of the slides, the company called Herma has already introduced what is called a wash-off label, which means the adhesive when you actually incorporate the washing process in the PET recycling, the hot water is enough to peel off the label from the main body of the bottle, and therefore it can facilitate recycling. So these are technologies are available. Yes, it is a scale of economy and the cost which has to be borne in but technology solutions are available as of today.
Okay, thank you. We have one last question, and I'll request Mr. Gagandeep to please address that. We see increasing applications of IML, which is in-mode labeling, in the FMCG industry. How do you think this plugs into sustainability? Is it a positive contributor to it, or does it make it more challenging?
No, IML, you see, IML is a technology which is, I think from a sustainability point of view, it is definitely in the right direction, because the whole idea is to make the container and IML of the same material. So mostly these containers that are used for in IML are polypropylene, and these labels are also polypropylene. So it is much easier to recycle. Secondly, you solve the problem of adhesive, and it becomes an integral part of the pack itself. So from a sustainability point of view, it is certainly the right thing to do, and it is certainly gaining ground also in FMCG. Of course, the other challenges in IML is that you do it, you always need to have a separate inventory, especially if you have too many variants. And every time you need to order a separate inventory of the full packaging, which becomes a supply chain challenge. But otherwise, from a sustainability point of view, it is certainly the because it's almost becomes an integral part of the primary container. And in most cases, the idea is to have the same material that is used for making the IML labels as the container itself, and therefore it is completely recyclable to that extent, and you get out of that whole process of actually removing the labels or trying to remove the labels. So therefore, it is certainly positive from a sustainability point of view.
Good. So it's actually with the first part of monomaterials, in its own way, even though the context then was different, it's still, yeah, doctor, sorry.
Yeah, so in our last session, we tracked one development in the case of an Evian water bottle, where they have actually done away with the label. They're actually imprinting or embossing on the bottle itself. So label, either you use a wash-off label or you use you dispense totally with the label. So these are two options available now. But it all depends on how the brands take it and how the customers perceive these kind of things. And that is where sustainability communication becomes important. It may not go, see, these things may not be accepted in the high premium segment of the market, but at least, at the lower or the mid-scale product segment, these are definitely worth trying and then implementing, and then see how we can move it up in the upper premium segment of the market.
Okay, thank you. So we do have a few other questions, a fair number of questions actually, but I think we must do justice to the time frame. We've already overshot it marginally, but that's okay. The content was compelling, but we still must draw this to a close. I must take this opportunity to profusely thank our four esteemed panel members for sharing their time and their wisdom on this particular session. I think it's really been very, very enlightening to see their commitment to sustainability, their passion for the particular subject, and I hope it rubs off on the rest of the industry. Also, a lot of learnings in terms of the specific case studies that they shared with all of us. Hopefully, it inspires the entire industry to raise the premise in terms of how we are able to market ourselves as a community of home and personal care product manufacturers. And hopefully that also spawns more successes for us. So also I would like to take this opportunity to thank both the teams, the Packaging 360 team and the HPCI team, for putting this session together and convening it so well. We have representatives, Aditya is there from Packaging 360, and we have Isha and Sunil from HPCI. So thank you once again. And I thank the audience for being a very attentive, engaged audience, and supporting us in this particular initiative. Of course, we will have many, many more sessions of a more specific nature. So the more specific it is, I think the more value it unlocks. So please do let us have your feedback also going ahead. And the recording of this entire session will be played on our YouTube channel, and we'll communicate that with you shortly. So once again, thank you all esteemed panel members. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to our continued engagement. With that, I'd like to draw this call this session to a close, and look forward to joining all of you very soon, both on a cosmetics and personal care and home care platform, as well as on a packaging platform. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Purohit. Thank you, Mr. Sridhar. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So we'll connect with all the panelists offline. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.